Welcome to Ability MKE Now. My name is Sue Roscoff. Ability MKE Now is a show all about integration, bringing people with disabilities and people that don't have a disability together, enjoying life here in the Milwaukee area. We are dedicated to inclusion, connection, and community, being relevant to everybody. We all have our own experience with disability, whether it's our own, with people we know, or with people we encounter in our everyday lives. We all have different and unique abilities, and that is what we celebrate here at Ability MKE Now, celebrating the ability in all of us. And joining me today is my co-host, Michael Martin Hummel. He is a writer, speaker, and podcaster dedicated to bridging the gap between disabled and able-bodied communities. Michael, so glad you have you here. How are you?
I'm good. It's good to see you.
Great to see you. We've got some extra special things going on this week with River West Radio.
Really?
We do have tickets on sale right now for River West Radio's third annual Sunset Gala Cruise this Friday, May 29th. So you can join us for an evening of food, raffle prizes, karaoke, and celebration on the water. And all the while, you are helping to support the future of truly local, independent radio in Milwaukee. River West Radio depends on community support, and this is one of our biggest fundraisers of the year. So, quite literally, don't miss the boat. Join us this Friday night. Coming up, actually, am I saying this Friday night? It's actually a week away. It's Friday, May 29th. I'm a week ahead of myself. So it is Friday, May 29th. If you're listening to this, forgive me. It's Friday, May 29th. So it's the Friday after Memorial Day. And it's going to be a blast. I have been on in the past, and I can't even tell you the views, the fun, the music, the people. I can't tell you enough good things about it. Tickets are available right now at riverwestradio.com. So hop on there and secure your spot now. And then Michael, that's
Good.
where I wish you lived a little closer so you could come and come aboard and have a little fun with us there.
Yeah, yeah, it sounds interesting. And I do like the water and boats.
I am very partial to being on the water and on boats and behind. Actually, I love being behind a boat when it comes to water skiing and doing all the fun things that we do. We're actually in the season already. Can you believe our first water ski show with our Pewaukee Lake Water Ski Club is this coming Monday on Memorial Day? So it's coming up pretty quick here. We have one more practice and then it is showtime. So we're looking forward to that. We have a fun Western theme planned. I actually still don't know all the details, but we should be finding out more tomorrow night at our last practice. It's gonna be a little chilly, so uh, pray for warm weather for us. We need to warm up that water
Good.
and get ready for a lot of fun as our season gets underway. I,
I was gonna ask, do you wear wetsuits?
At this time of year, yes. That's Most do. There's some people that are a lot tougher than me and can handle not, but you this time of year, wetsuits are a really, really good idea. I gotta say though, when it comes to shows, we have costumes, and usually the girls are not wearing wetsuits. They will wear a flotation device, something called a flomo. It's actually not Coast Guard approved, but it is flotation, and it's appropriate for doing water ski shows like we do. So I gotta say though, it really doesn't add much warmth. It's just a vest, a small vest. The guys wear what we call Farmer John, which is a full length wetsuit that goes from somewhere between the ankle and the knee on the legs,
Mm.
and then on top, there's no sleeves. It's actually like a tank top style, but it has flotation built in. And this time of year, the guys I think, are pretty happy they're wearing that because it keeps them in a little extra warm. Of course, they're wearing those same darn things when it's middle of July and really hot. So you know, you get what you
That
get.
I run cold, so I would probably be wearing it all year.
Yeah, I am one that I tend to wear it all year when we're doing practices, and if I have the option of putting one on, I will because I just tend to be cold. So, and I also don't like the weeds. I don't like the feel of that on my legs. So I'm much happier if I have something there. Yeah, even after all these years, I'm still a wimp when it comes to that part.
Mm.
But I have one thing that you have shared with us that actually hit me really in a different way yesterday. So I know one phrase that you've used, I've heard many times from you, is to be seen, felt, heard, and understood. Can
Mm.
you share a little bit about how that came about? And then I've got to share a story to share myself here, but can you give me a little background on how you came to that phrase and that you use that as often as you do?
A friend of mine and I were talking, and he's a business coach, and it meant a lot to me because I wanted to help disabled people be heard, felt, and understood because I knew how I was not seen, heard, felt, and understood, and like I would go to a doctor's office or any place that like had was an office setting, and if there was somebody with me, they would talk to them instead of me, and it made me feel like crap, and it made me feel invisible. So that was just a term that I used that basically for what I feel and what I'm trying to accomplish with how I make other people feel.
That is huge. I, the whole concept, I think that's something we all want, right? We all want to be seen. We all want to be felt in the room, and I want to feel important. I want people to know I'm here. I
Yeah.
want to be able to be heard. If we all have something to say. We all have a story. We all have opinions. And of all things, to be understood, because we all come from a different place and we
Yeah.
all have something to give, something to offer. And
Hmm.
to be seen, felt, heard, and understood. I gotta say, oh, go ahead.
And the depth of which people are understood is different, and it hits harder, and which makes it more difficult because everyone has their different desires and needs and the way they think about any given situation.
And with that, so I've got a story to share. I'm going to keep it
Mm-hmm.
very vague on purpose, uh, but the point will still hopefully hit here. So I was invited to be part of a committee, and I had an experience yesterday where uh, it's a kind of a diverse committee, and actually my particular role is kind of unique amongst the group. And again, I'm going to keep this generic, but I'm trying to set the stage here a little bit for why I'm talking about this.
Hmm.
His that concept of being seen, felt, heard, and understood. I walked out of the meeting having none of that. And the thing that was ringing in my ears very loudly was
Hmm.
this concept, because we were there for an hour, and the whole point of this group is to See, and again, trying to keep this generic, so choosing my words
Mm,
carefully. Uh, the whole point of this group is to come up with a concept that fits for for a much larger group. Let me put it that way, that we are kind of representatives from across this big group, and we're trying to come together and maybe basically come up with some direction to help kind of steer the ship of where we are headed as a bigger organization. And
hmm
again, my role within that organization is kind of unique compared to everybody else that was sitting at the table. Well, we all are coming from different spots, but mine has some flair to it that's definitely more unique within this group, basically.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, there's wonderful people, and I have a lot of admiration for every person sitting at that table. I don't know some of them very well. I know a couple of them really well, and some I don't even hardly know. I had to look up the names because I'm like, I don't even remember for sure which person that was. Because we just don't interact much. That's
Yeah.
just the nature of this group.
Yeah.
And the way the irony in part of how the conversation went is the concept of community.
Yeah.
That particular word and that concept means a lot to me because of a lot of what we do with our shows with a lot of the other groups that we work with.
Yeah.
And they were talking about the importance of community and connection and all the things. And as I sit here at this moment, I'd put money on that there's people at that table that don't even know my name
Yeah.
and and don't know
Yeah.
my role, don't know where I'm coming from. The part of the basis of what we all did, what everybody was supposed to have an opinion and bring their unique perspective, and that's part of how this group was formed. And I never ended up saying anything during the course of that time. And it wasn't for really lack of trying, I guess. Like, I'm not going to just interrupt others to get my opinion heard. That's not who I am.
Yeah.
Uh, when it's my turn to speak, I will share my thoughts. And I was taking notes during this meeting because I had some things I want to make sure to reflect back. And twice it came up that there should have that I was going to be brought into the conversation, and
Mm,
then it still never happened. And when everything was all said and done, and I'm sitting there realizing, now I gotta say, there was one person that was at the table that saw this. Like, that person saw me. That person
mhm.
understood and and actually, like, I saw it. I actually followed up with that person today too to help make sure I was not totally off base here. And I walked out of that meeting feeling very hurt, feeling very small.
Mm,
And what was ringing in my ears was what you have been saying about being seen, felt, heard, and understood.
yeah.
And I have a whole new respect for what you've been telling me for all this time because I felt very much in that. I mean, it was obviously a bit of a different scenario here than
Yeah.
where you've shared it, but dang. uh I can't even fathom the extent to which, like what you're saying, you're at a doctor's office and
hmm
people will not look at you and talk to you directly. They're talking to whoever's with you.
hmm That's
Oh my gosh.
that's why I try, if possible, to go alone because then they have us not drink.
It forces the situation,
Yeah.
which, oh my God, why should that be the way our community works? Why should you
Yeah.
have to put up with that? You shouldn't.
No, you shouldn't.
I have another friend who's a wheelchair user that he doesn't drive. He needs somebody to drive him places. And the times
Mm,
that he's told me similar scenarios where people don't look at him and talk to him, they look at look at whoever the do I want to say able-bodied person is that's with them. They look
yeah.
to that person. And it's like, and I gotta say, years ago, I used to drive for him once in a while, and yeah, people would look at me. I'd be like, "Why are you asking me?" And try to make it light of it. But
Yeah.
wow, when you actually end
Yeah.
up being the one that is basically being ignored or made assumptions of.
Yeah.
Wow.
People often don't think that a person in a wheelchair can make a decision, and they put that on whoever's with them, and it changes the dynamic and how everyone in the room feels.
I mean, just because you're in a wheelchair, am I supposed to assume you're dumb? Is that
Yeah.
what the world thinks? Like,
Um. Oftentimes, I get that impression.
how ridiculous is our society that just because something's different here automatically makes it be that, you're lesser or not as smart or whatever term you want to use, whatever that assumption is people are making. I mean, shame on us, shame on everybody who's been there.
It's it's why I do what I do, and oftentimes, um, people will see me in the wheelchair in my wheelchair, and they'll speak slower.
Oh my gosh, really? Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
interesting. Okay, all sorts of thoughts going through my head on that one. Wow. you
yeah,
know and I think I gotta say, I truly believe that at least for some, they just it's new. They haven't
yeah,
met
yeah,
somebody in a wheelchair before.
yeah.
They're sheltered enough that this is a new experience and they
Yeah.
don't know how to act.
And I get that, which is why I am not a big fan of the word ableism, because
Hmm.
I think able bodied people who act differently because of who they're interacting with get a bad rap. I mean, it could be either way. You don't know, but that's just my opinion.
So, well, and I got a confession. As I'm thinking about this whole concept, I remember a day. Okay, I remember it, but I'm trying to remember how long ago it was. I don't know. It was at least a decade ago. It was a long time ago. It was back
Mm,
when we used to go. So this predates COVID. There often will be events, almost like a vendor event, but it's not. That's not exactly it. I'm trying to remember what they called them, where
yeah.
there would be opportunities for a resource fair. That's the word I'm looking for. A resource fair where like high
Okay.
schools would have they have this resource fair with all sorts of different opportunities for it was geared towards folks that had some sort of disability, whatever that is.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
when we would show up once we started doing a lot of the stuff with adaptive water skiing, like people don't know this exists. So
Yeah.
we would go to resource fairs that are local and we'd bring a sit ski, we'd bring pictures, we'd have a video playing on the computer and be like, "Hey, you want to we could show you how to do this. You could come ski with us. Would you like to do that?" So we were just trying to promote the sport and the opportunity. And
Yeah.
I remember one one event that I was at where a young man came over and he's got some type of autism. I don't know what his story is. I just know I've since then we've gotten to know his mom. We know got to know them actually quite a bit after the fact. But the
Hmm.
particular day, the very first time I met him,
Yeah.
I so he is nonverbal, but he's vocal, but nonverbal. So he
Yeah.
making sounds. He's kind of a big guy, and he has a dog. He's a service dog with him, but kind of a big guy, and came over and like, was being kind of loud.
Yeah.
And I was trying to interact to whatever extent I could, but I'm like, I don't know if I'm okay right now. There's a big dude here making a lot of noise, but not talking. And honestly, I had a brief moment of, am I supposed to be scared right now? I didn't know. I don't know this gentleman. I don't know anything. And didn't know how to communicate with him. And I was kind of, just talking a little bit about what we all had going on. And I I don't know. I found myself in that moment of I'm not sure what to do here. So, and again, I've grown since then. I If I encountered that type of a scenario today, I think I would be responding a little differently than I did that day because we
Hmm.
learn from experience. And I gotta say, so since then, I've come to find he communicates through oh, I don't even remember what it's called, but basically like with the keyboard, like he
Yeah.
can point to the letters and there's a phrase for what that's called, but I'm sorry, I don't remember off the top of my head here. So he's able to
Neither
communicate.
do I.
It's actually really cool the way he can communicate. Then basically he spells out words and somebody just needs to kind of write down what he's spelling out. And
Yeah.
this young man's a genius. He has the
Hmm.
closest connection to God than most anybody I've ever met. He is absolutely amazing, but you wouldn't know
Wow.
that. There's no way for me to understand that just from that first interaction. And it's like, I think back on
Yeah.
that, I'm almost embarrassed that I reacted the way I did because I was just so uncertain, but I didn't
Well,
know. And I'm sure he was in that same boat. He wants to be seen, felt, heard, and understood. And,
yeah.
we're all human. We're all doing the best we can, I hope. But
I think that everyone wants that, but I there is an intimidation factor that you don't realize because if someone is doing something that's different than what you're used to and they're big, it it changes the situation because you don't know what they're capable of. I mean, I used to work at a camp for handicapped kids, and there was one session that was mentally handicapped, and I got punched a lot.
oh no.
Yeah, so you don't know what anyone is capable of.
And I'll give one kind of happy ending to in my mind to this young man that I was referring to. I did have a chance a handful of years ago to ski with him. He almost didn't ski because he was a little nervous about going out there. He was watching and trying to decide. And since I was a familiar face, I think that made a difference. And he let me be one of the ones to ski with him. And he went, I think he was a one and done kind of person. Like it was cool, but it was a little too much stimulation doing what we did. It didn't work well for him. But I got to go with them and I absolutely loved it and I hope it's a fond memory for him. Uh he got to do the sport, we got to share the sport that I love. And
Yeah,
I'm grateful for that was an opportunity for that to happen. But yeah, just back to the scene felt heard and understood. And understanding again, talk directly to him, even though he's not going to respond back in words like I'm talking to you right now. He's communicating how he communicates, and it's all good.
yeah. I mean, even though they can't sometimes communicate the way th- others do, they still understand what you're saying.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And, that's even something I remember back with, I was an EMT for 10 years. And I remember that being something that they told us too in our training is just because even if a person's unconscious, don't assume they can't hear you. It's
Yeah.
very possible they can, and so I mean, it's a bit of a tangent here too, but you just don't know. So yeah, assume the best for everybody. Pay attention to everybody. Being
Hmm.
left out's no fun.
No.
Being ostracized and If it takes you out of your comfort zone to interact with somebody who's different than you,
Mm,
do it. It's okay.
yeah, because one of two things is going to happen. Either you're going to be the same, and you're just going to think that was a awkward or weird situation, or you're going to be better off for it and learn and get more in depth with how he or she uh, responds to the world.
You might have just met your new best friend and you just don't know it yet. You
Yeah.
might be that might be the person you click with. Amazing. Just you don't know. And fear wrecks a lot of stuff. Obviously don't put yourself in danger if there's, you gotta choose wisely your situation and all. I gotta put that in a in a happy little container there, right? But
Hmm.
just because, for example, if somebody's in a wheelchair doesn't mean you should assume that they're not smart or that they can't communicate or that they're, whatever assumption a person might make. Assume the
Yeah.
best. Assume you can have a great conversation. You're going to miss out on a lot in life if you don't interact with people who are different from yourself.
Yeah.
So, well,
That's,
I,
that's how I feel.
and I know you do take it to the next level. You actually are amazing with putting together programs, putting together what do you call it? What is the on Saturdays?
Stereotype diversity. Once a month, I do a speaking engagement where I have anywhere from 5 to 20 people speak on a different theme that is disability related.
And those stories of diversity are so good, so impactful, so much insight that can be gained in a short amount of time because people are more willing to share than I think we give each other credit for. That's the whole thing of being seen, felt, heard, understood. We all, I think, hope for that and want that.
Yeah.
And if somebody's willing to put themselves out there and have a conversation, to share things that might be hard, I mean that, oh my gosh, what a great opportunity to be able to have the conversation. It's basically on a silver platter. Here are things that you may not know, but hey, you are gathering people who are willing to make that share happen.
Yeah.
So,
Because it's just learning about people and their situation.
and in that, being able to increase our community, our connection, our all those things. I mean, that's what we hear with Ability MKE now and celebrating the ability in all of us. That is, we all have something to share with the world. We all are here for a reason. I always say, God, this is with Project Die Hard. I always tell my piece of, God's not done with you yet. You are here for a reason, and that's what we all got to find out what that is, and to be able to share and bring out the best in one another. Michael,
Yeah.
I'm so happy you're here sharing the way you are, and for all of us here with Ability MKE now, we thank you.